Hey everyone, my name is Cynthia and I'm working with the Boys and Girls Clubs of San Antonio to help out SAISD's ACE Summer Virtual Program. Today's activity is called Kickball Don't Fall. The objective of today's activity is to build self-confidence through practicing locomotor skills in a game of kickball. Did you all know that kickball was invented in a playground by a man named Nicholas C. Seuss in 1917? Well, today we are going to be taking that original game of kickball but adding a twist. The supplies you will be needing for this activity are a ball, something to act as a base, like a paper plate, but be sure to weigh it down with a rock or something else that's heavy if it's really windy outside, like it is today, and an area to play in, preferably outside. For this activity, the rules of a typical kickball game still apply. However, instead of just running to the bases, we'll be practicing different locomotor skills like hopping and skipping to the different bases. Before we begin our game of kickball, we're going to go over a few locomotor skills. The first is running, which is similar to walking, except it's at a faster pace, and there's a point in time where your both feet are off the ground, like this. The next locomotor skill is called a gallop, which is similar to the movement of a horse. You'll have your body facing forward, one leg will lead, and one will follow. This leg will chase this front leg, but will not go in front of it. And both feet will leave the floor, like this. Next, we will learn a hop, which is a springing action where you take off from one foot and then land on that same foot. So you'll need one foot planted on the ground and one lifted up, take off from one foot, and then land on that same foot. Now we will learn a crossover, which is traveling sideways and having one foot being the leading foot and the other one being the traveling foot. This is where your traveling foot will be behind the leading foot and then make its way in front of the leading foot. Let me show you that a little slower. So behind the leading foot and then in front. Then move the leading foot behind and in front. Let me show you what a crossover should look like at a more normal speed. The next locomotor skill is called a slide, which is like a gallop where you will have your leading foot and then the one behind it. But instead of having your body facing forward, you're gonna go to the side like this. So leading foot and have it follow. Now we will go over skipping, which is a combination of a long step and a hop. But instead of just remaining on one foot, you will alternate your legs. So like a long step and a hop, and a long step and a hop. So this is what your skipping should look like. Okay, so we're almost done going over the locomotor skills. But the next is called a leap, which is where you take off from one foot and then land on the other foot. Let me show you. So take off and land, take off and land. Let me show you that again. Last skill to go over is called a jump, which I'm sure all of you know what that is, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you anyways. So a jump is where you take off from both feet and then land on both feet at the same time, like this. Now that we're done going over the locomotor skills, feel free to practice them for as long as you'd like. And then once you're done with that, it's time to get into the actual kickball game. Before you start playing, you wanna set up your 4 bases, each about equal distance apart. After you're done setting up your bases, you want to decide which locomotor skills you want to perform between each base. So for example, between first and second base, you need to gallop. Between second and third base, you need to slide, etc. So decide on whichever ones you want and then you can get into kicking. If you have people around you to play this game with you, ask them to do so. And in the next clip, I'll show you what that kind of game would look like. However, if there's not enough people to create teams, or if you're alone, no worries. I challenge you to kick the ball as hard as you can and complete all 4 bases with the locomotor skills you decided on, all while trying not to fall. joining me on today's activity. I hope you all had a lot of fun practicing these locomotor skills. And now it's time for the reflection question. How did you feel when I announced the changes to the kickball rules? How can you still be successful when dealing with change?
And that's a wrap.